Buzzy Trent once said, "Waves are not measured in feet or inches, but are measured in increments of fear." And tsunamis are fear incarnate. With over 200,000 casualties and over billions of dollars in damages over just 2 decades, it's easy to see just how much destruction that they can cause. Hello everyone, I'm Ryan, and after the projects that I've completed in the past, along with the new studies that I've examined over the last few decades, I'm going to give you a brief yet detailed summary over tsunamis. First, we're going to describe what a tsunami is and how they're created. Second, I will examine the damages that tsunamis have caused in the past, as well as some statistics over what they've done. And third, I'm going to discuss the history of tsunamis and why they are significant in giving us a cautionary tale how to survive them, as well as knowledge of oceanic natural disasters. As tsunamis are a natural occurrence, they can be a little complicated. So before we dive into any statistics or historical significance, let's first describe what they are. So what is a tsunami? First, a normal wave that many of us have witnessed whenever we go to the beach is simply a wave that moves across the upper surface with help of the wind. An exaggerated form of this would be a tidal wave, not a natural disaster, but still are giant waves. Tsunamis, however, are far more terrifying as they encompass the entirety of the water's depth, from the ocean's surface to the ocean's floor, granting far more surface area, as they're also powered by a natural phenomenon. Tsunamis' power are typically due to an earthquake, an underwater volcanic eruption, and other natural phenomenon which grant ripple effects to the ocean. The greater the impact of the phenomenon, the greater potential for greater force. Thus, greater lengths in land, and they can cause more catastrophic damages. Now that we have a brief understanding of what a tsunami is, I'm going to examine and explain the casualties and damages that have been caused in the past. The knowledge we gain typically accumulated from past experiences, whether from a close call or a massive disaster. And tsunamis have a dense history of ravaging societies. Tsunamis, explained in detail by Science Direct, give a comprehensive analysis regarding data to both casualties and damages. In roughly the last 100 years, 1 century, there have been approximately 58 tsunamis worldwide, over 250,000 casualties, and over $4 billion in damages. The Great East Japan earthquake in 2011 is one specific example of a catastrophe where the earthquake's magnitude reached a 9.0 on the Richter scale. The earthquake caused a tsunami reaching heights of 39 meters, or 127 feet tall, causing massive damages to the coastline and negative effects to the global supply chains. The effects of this also caused one of the very, very few in history what's considered a compound disaster. Compound disasters are typically due to an incredible lack of preparedness, which many of them were not, as well as a major disaster to a nuclear power plant. These were catastrophic to Japan in 2011. Now, moving on, as we can see with only this one tsunami that I had chiefly examined, the effects during and after can be long-standing and fatal. So finally, we're going to discuss how prior disasters have influenced our efficiency in creating a disruption plan to mitigate these extensive damages. Now, primarily to gain preventative measures that are effective for an accident or catastrophe, we must examine the historic events and propose countermeasures. As the severity of a tsunami increases, the amount of necessary preparation and evacuation plans also must increase. Though, with waves reaching incredible heights, it may seem there is nothing that we can truly prepare for. But the National Weather Service provides an in-depth details on how to protect yourself and provide as little aftermath damage as possible. First, by learning from past experiences and understanding the topography of the land or the lay of the land, people can notice areas that will flood greatly and far more quickly, and you'll know that you want to avoid these areas. Secondly, education and publicized evacuation routes will be required in order to prevent panic, which is a major issue in any disaster. And finally, reading warning signs that a disaster is about to happen. For instance, if you live on the coast and you feel a rather large earthquake, you should know that you need to get out your preparedness kit and that you need to follow an evacuation plan if need be, so that you can lower the casualty rate and provide less panic. In conclusion, tsunamis, though incredibly infrequent, are devastating. They have the capability to ravage a society in the blink of an eye. After learning what exactly a tsunami is, some examples to put into perspective how terrifying they are, and how better to help us prepare in the future so that we can understand preventative measures, we can aid ourselves into understand how to prevent these. Now, for something for all of you to keep in mind, as tsunamis are typically found in coastal regions, California is no stranger to constant attention from earthquakes, which are a key architect to creating a tsunami, and thus we're not safe from the phenomenon and should remain vigilant. Thank you all, and take care.